Here we are at a classic property that's been developed by a family in just 1 year, and it's gone through for 2 or 3 years now, and it's really well developed, really well designed. So we have a property that has multiple dams, swales on contour with food forests, grazing in between, farm forestry sections on the steep hills. We have windbreaks of bamboo that have been specifically placed all the way through the landscape, but keeping the wind sector open. It's a windy property that comes through from the mountain in the background. That's Mount Warning, the most easterly point in Australia. Gets the first sun on the tip of that mountain. We get a wind coming through from the Pacific there, and it's left open over these 2 dams. There's a windmill perfectly positioned, pumps from the bottom dam that is now permanently spring fed because of the swales and dams uphill, pumps the water up to the top of the hill, more than 10,000 litres overnight. Gravity feeds through the back of the system, more or less game over. A system that's perfectly mainframed, all in operation. This is sustainability without question, and a testament that permaculture design works anywhere. Well, here we have the real wind power. This is where we get in amongst that classic system. I'm right next to the rod that goes up and down, pumping and drawing the water all the way to the top tank. This is just renewable energy that gives us water supply permanently on gravity throughout the whole property. In the flat country, this energy is usually in surplus. So with this wind, we can pump water up to water tanks that are up on tank stands and give us that gravity water feed that's deficient in the landscape. Now we're really in front of the game. Here I am at the top tank, and I want to point out that the tap is off on the tank. This water is being pumped by the wind. This is the wind pumping water from the bottom dam in the property up here. We can gravity feed this out to irrigate all the property, but particularly the property that's above the highest swales, which are irrigated from the rain. This even gives you a pump to everything at the highest point of the property. There it is, a gust of wind. It's continuously coming through. Here we are, more water. This is going 24/7, day and night, filling this tank so we can irrigate absolutely everything, even everything above all our Earthworks swales. But it's the Earthworks that created the water that allowed us to pump, and we allowed the wind to do the pumping. This is how you design. Here we are, layers through the landscape, water soaks on water soaks, going through all kinds of growing systems. We're up in a very sheltered position here. Although it's a windy day, the windbreaks are sheltering us, and we've got a real microclimate sun trap here at the top of the property, and plenty of water because the water comes from the tank up above us. Although we're above the highest swale, we're still in well irrigated systems. The highest swale's just below me with the bananas, and it stretches right around the property from dam to dam to dam, right through the landscape, soaking the whole system. So this is a system that will continue into perpetual productivity. Now these rampant ground covers give us the nitrogen fixation, and they give us a control of the weeds where we want to start to plant. So this is control by rampancy in the broad acre. Everywhere here there's lab, covering the ground, fixing nitrogen, creating mulch. So easy to clear, so easy to plant. It's working with the natural system. It's a mimic of the natural system, supercharged into production. Wonderful system. Farm forestry, an element that we often include in an outer zone away from the house where the slopes are quite steep. Here, Earthworks is a great advantage to establish trees quickly. These trees are just 3.5 to 4 years old now. There's 5 species of Australian timber trees here. It's a mixed forestry. We always encourage mixed forestry systems. They were irrigated originally, but don't need irrigation anymore. The Earthworks harvested water as well. So they grew fast because of how we initiated with contour, earthworks and deep ripping. This is a wonderful example of a very, very long-term yield, a very, very long-term energy storage. This is an investment in the future. Let me show you how new these plantings are. Here's the tree protector. It hasn't even broken down much yet. It's still on the tree. That's how young this planting is. And here is the drip irrigation line. It's now redundant. This came from gravity from the top tank. No longer needed. Just to get things established, the trees are up and away from the grass. Game over, checkmate. Farm forestry established. Earthworks started it. This is a ridge road. Perfectly down the center of the ridge, curving with the shape of the ridge. Beautiful aesthetics as it stays right in the center of the ridge and displaces the water both sides. No V-drain required on either side, an even spread of water. But there will be slight runs of water running the length of the road here and there, so you will get little bits of erosion on the gravel, but not much. This is a very, very passive way to put a track or a farm road or a driveway into a property. Not quite as good as absolutely on contour, but really low maintenance and can also just as easily look beautiful and aesthetic. So if you don't think that's really necessary, you think you can just go straight down through the landscape, let's go and have a look at a road that's having to go up the side of the hill. Let's look at the difference in expense and earthworks, and we'll show you why you need to pay attention. So if you want to put a road down the side of a hill, you've got to cut right into it. You've got a big cut coming out the side of the hill. You've got to grade the road properly and look at the amount of erosion potential there is. This road's quite new, but look, all that road base is cut back. That's the expensive material, and this has a tarmac top on it as well. This is a high quality road, but nothing stops that amount of water. There's 100% runoff there, and look at it. It's running down here. Now, we've got to control this water. You're going to have to slow this down. And the natural system's showing you that there are rocks already building up where it's slowed down a little bit. So we're going to have to fill this with rocks before it gets down here to the crossing pipe. So here's the crossing pipe. The crossing pipe goes under the road here and takes that water flow. This is the head wall around the crossing pipe. Goes under the road. That's all good, but we've got to make sure we control that erosion. It's not so easy to just put roads in on the side of the hill. It's much easier if you're straight down the ridgeline, and it's of course this very passive runoff from the side of a road that's on contour. You can't stop gravity. If we look on the other side, there's another head wall here, and you can literally see the painted pattern of the water in the landscape. I always tell my students to go on the downhill side of the pipe and look at the flow of the water, look at the erosive force, because there it will be painted what is actually happening when it rains. Now, when we do development like this, often it's potentially for community systems. This can be set up as an eco-village, permaculture hamlet, community settlement system. And this ridge has been left undeveloped, more or less, just a good access, so we could actually put in a whole set of houses through here and set up a local community. Now, it's been purposely favoured because there's 10 dams uphill here, there's all the swells and soakage. Now we're going to show you the advantage of that water. Let's go down and see how much water pressure we've got in the potential for a community settlement down there on that beautiful clear country ridge. Here we are on the lower end of the ridge, this beautiful gentle sloping ridge. It used to be a dry ridge. Now it's nicely hydrated from the swales and the dams uphill. Really good country, great for a settlement. And we've made sure that it would be a valuable place to settle. We've put in the earth resources and we've put in some hardware infrastructure, and that allows us to set up gravity irrigation like that. We could more or less run that pipe and that faucet there, that tap, we could run that for months and it wouldn't drain that system. That's how much pressure there is in the system. That's why we know we can set up human settlement systems. We can resettle the villages of the rural areas with real value for people. That is an obvious resource for any human settlement that wants to end up in abundant food security.